Hello and welcome to this writing lesson on how to form complex sentences using relative pronouns. This is part 2. In lesson 1, we learned how we can have two simple sentences and then combine them into a complex sentence using a relative pronoun. And we have talked about, let me get the pointer out here. We have talked about using a person, and we tried examples using who and whom. I hope you have tried on your own using which and which, because they are very simple, so we did not work out an example on this one. However, we did not work on those over here. The possessive case, where the pronoun would be whose and the ... of which. How do we use them? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Alright, let's take this example. The stranger met Jack. Yeah, I'm into fairy tales, okay? So this is Jack and the Beanstalk. The stranger met Jack. Jack's cow was for sale. You notice this is Jack, but this is Jack's, right? Okay, no problem. Let's what was step 1 for forming the complex sentence? We first must select which one we want to use as a main clause. So let's do that. We're going to take the first one, the stranger met Jack. And then we're going to use this one as our second clause, okay? Next step, identify the noun that is repeated. Okay, let's look at it. The stranger met Jack. We decided to use it as our main clause. Jack's cow was for sale. We decided to use it as our subordinate clause. And therefore, the repeated noun is Jack and Jack's. Just don't worry about the S, the apostrophe S right now. Step 3. Select the appropriate relative pronoun. Okay, let's do that. Since it has an apostrophe S, it is in the possessive case. Since it is possessive, we're going to use whose, because Jack is a person. As far as I know, Jack was not an animal. Well, if he's stupid enough to sell a cow for 5 beans, maybe he was, but we are going to stay biological and very objective about this, okay? So he is a person, or he was a person, and we're going to use whose. What is my next step? I'm going to copy the first clause, including that noun, which we want to replace, and right after we write the choice of relative pronoun, which is whose. Let's do that. So the stranger met Jack, we'll copy it, and we stop right after this, which happens to be the end of the sentence anyway. So we stop right after that. Do not use the period. Instead of it, use the relative pronoun which we chose to replace Jack's, and that was whose. So now we're at the stranger met Jack, whose. Next step, copy the second clause after we've taken out the noun. So we took out Jack's. What's remaining is cow was for sale. So we copy down cow was for sale and keep the period here. So now my resulting complex sentence is the stranger met Jack, whose cow was for sale. Now, wasn't that just so easy? Yes. Now, remember after we did that, we said it is possible, in the case of who and whom, to reverse those two clauses and start the other way around. Can we do that for these two sentences? The simple answer is no. Why? Okay, the stranger met Jack. We decided to use that as a subordinate clause and Jack's cow was as the main clause, okay? Let's look at it. Is that possible? Jack's cow was for sale. The stranger met Jack. Now, according to the steps we've done, it would be Jack's, stop right here, whose, the stranger met. Now, Jack's, okay, we're going to look at the function this one. Whose was wrong. So the stranger met Jack. Jack would be a whom. So Jack's, whom the stranger met, cow was for sale. Does it make any sense? Does it even make sense? Not in English. No. So in this case, there's only one way of combining those two simple sentences. Only one way. Does it work now if we talk about objects? Let's try this. Belle arrived at the castle. This is Beauty and the Beast, obviously. Belle arrived at the castle, and the second sentence is the gate of the castle was closed. Now, if you learn proper English, you cannot say the castle's gate, okay? You have to say the gate of the castle because the owner here is an object. You cannot use apostrophe S. Apostrophe S is reserved only for people, for persons, for humans, okay? So my next step was step 1. Choose your main clause. I'm going to choose this one, the first one. Okay, so Belle arrived at the castle is going to be my main clause, and the gate is going to be my second clause. So main clause, Belle arrived at the castle, subordinate clause. Step 2 said choose the word or identify the word that is repeated, the noun that is repeated here. It is obvious, the castle, the castle. I've identified it. Step 3, I'm going to pick my possessive pronoun, possessive relative pronoun. So my relative pronoun for animals or things is the ... of which. And I'm sure you've been wondering about that till now, because I noticed that many students, if not most students, if not all students, never use this, simply because they don't know how to use it. Almost every student I have had never ever used it in any essay at any level. So here you're going to impress your examiner or teacher and show them that you actually know how to use this. All right, so see how you use it. We copy, we said, the first main clause, stopping right after that noun, which is the end of the sentence here. So Belle arrived at the castle. I stop right here, but do not put my period. I then copy my my relative pronoun, which was the ... of which. The ... in this case would be the gate. Okay, so you copy the gate of which. So copy this whole thing here. The castle becomes which. So the gate of which. Belle arrived at the castle, the gate of which. What is my next step? I copy the remainder of the second sentence. Was closed, period. So your result is Belle arrived at the castle, the gate of which was closed. Clap, clap, clap. You've just done it. Now, same question. Can you reverse the order of the simple sentences? What do you think? You don't know. So we can always try. You know, there's no harm in trying. So let's see. Belle arrived at the castle. The gate of the castle was closed. This is going to be my main clause, and Belle is going to be my second or subordinate clause. So main clause, the gate of the castle, subordinate clause, Belle. Okay. Now my next step was copy my main clause and stop after castle. The gate of the castle, I stop right there. I then go to the castle here and I decide which relative pronoun to use. It's obvious, it's going to Belle arrived. This is not a subject, it's got to be an object, right? And it doesn't look like there's a possessive, there's no of, there's no apostrophe, so it must be which. So, by the way, we have not talked about this yet. Whenever there is a preposition before your noun, it travels with the noun together when the noun is turned into a relative pronoun. Sounds like very fairy tale-ish like now. Okay, the noun is transformed or changed into a relative pronoun, right? So it follows the noun. So that when the noun comes here and becomes which, at comes with it and becomes at which. Okay, so here we are. Step 4 and 5 is gate of the castle, stop after castle, copy this into the relative pronoun at which. What is my next step? That's right. You copy the rest of the subordinate clause, Belle arrived, so the gate of the castle at which Belle arrived. And then, don't forget step 7, there's a step 7, in case your main clause has got something left over behind, you need to copy that down. So, was closed, period. And my resulting sentence becomes, my complex sentence is, the gate of the castle at which Belle arrived was closed. You're going to say, hey, it works, you know, it works. It sounds like it works. But do not write it. Why? Is it the castle that Belle arrived at, or is it the gate that Belle arrived at? You're going to say it's the castle that she arrived, but it was the gate that was closed. So now it's very confusing. The gate of the castle at which Belle arrived. Is it the gate that she arrived at? Is it the castle she arrived at? In this case doesn't really matter, does it? Because, you know, the gate is on the castle and she arrived at the gate, so she arrived at the castle, right? You would say, doesn't matter. But if you are an editor, let's say, it does matter. I mean, it does matter because maybe it's not the gate of the castle. It could have been could be the, let's say, the trail leading to, say, a castle. So the trail of the castle, or the lane of the castle, or something like that. Then if she arrived at the trail, it could have been 2 miles long, so she did not arrive at the castle, right? The trail of the castle was closed. And she arrived at what? The trail or the castle? And this which has to be as close as possible to its antecedent, which is the noun that you want to replace. So you must put it here. You can say the gate at which Belle arrived of the castle was. You cannot say that. So therefore, this is a confusing sentence, and because of that, we are going to avoid it. Okay? It sounds as if it's correct, but it is still a confusing sentence and therefore incorrect. Do not use it. All right? Now, I think you have mastered how to use relative pronouns that are in the possessive case. Therefore, congratulations, happy writing, and see you in the next lesson.